darling.
It's a lovely colour match.
Yeah, those are the clash.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Caroline, hello, how are you? Could they have the one with the button? Oh yes, we want a good-looking man.
Oh yes, the good-looking man. Thank you. Chris Elman, sorry.
Oh,
I've seen him in the camera before now.
It's nice being tall, Greg. You've got to pay down all the time.
thank you. Champagne's just here on the left. We had to do.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Hang on. Right, come on, turn right. We do one. Come on, turn right. No, oh Lord, she's close. Come on.
Hi, Jesper.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Look really good. It's great.
Fantastic. So you remember Mummy, don't you? Remember Jesper died?
How are you? Oh my God, my God.
Oh, you have. Sorry, we can't have that.
So she's coming. He's
Hi.
Oh my God, this is my husband. I know it is. I know it terribly well.
My lords, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome to the Electric Palace Cinema here in Bridport on the occasion of the world premiere of The Young Victoria. And we are extremely grateful to both Julian and Emma for agreeing to hold this premiere here a few days ahead of the even more glitzy one, perhaps, if it could be more glitzy than our red carpet in London. The last few months has been a period of films for the Trust. Many of you will have seen the short film about the work of the Trust, made by Philippa Clunes, starring Martin Clunes, and indeed the script written by Julian Fellowes. So to follow that, we have a rather longer, full programme today. Last year, my wife said to me, would you like to go to a lecture on Queen Victoria in Sherborne? And not having really heard what the invitation was about, I duly followed along and thought I was going to have a rather boring evening. It was quite outstanding. Julian spoke last year about the history, the background, how one researches a film like this, and very especially how one approaches the writing of the script for such a film. So, without further ado, I'd like to invite Julian to take the stage and to speak to you about the film, and immediately after the film, Julian will come back down and we'll have a question and answer session. So any questions you have, we'll be able to fire towards Julian.
Very, very much. We'll tip this up a bit. Very much for coming tonight. I know it's rather a nightmare to have to go out on a Sunday night, and I really do appreciate it. It is the world premiere. I'm not quite sure that Graham King and Martin Scorsese realised that when they gave permission, but it was very, very generous and kind of them to do it. My story with this film actually goes back quite a long way, because many years ago I was staying at some house, I forget where, and I'd forgotten my book. And on the table beside the bed, there was a biography of Queen Victoria. I forget which one, probably Elizabeth Longford, I should think, but anyway. And I started to read it, and I realised that having thought I knew about Queen Victoria, I suddenly saw that I didn't really know anything about her. And I was totally unaware of her younger story and what she'd survived in order to get to the throne. I suppose if I'd given it any thought at all, I imagined she was some princess living in some comfortable palace and being correctly trained, and then the day would dawn when she would be queen. But that was not her story at all. And so when years later I heard that, in fact, true to the newspaper reports, the Duchess of York had suggested to Graham King that it was time for a film about the younger Victoria, that all that anyone knew about Victoria was this little dumpy woman, this widow in black with a handkerchief on her head, looking severe, and that nobody was aware of the younger woman, and that there ought to be a film about her marriage to Albert. Anyway, I heard this was being mooted in Hollywood, and I set my agent on it. He said, would this interest you? I said, not only would it interest me, but if I don't write it, you die. So I then did get taken on, and my sort of contribution to the original idea was to take the story back a little further, so that we see the machinations that were going on around the young princess before she came to the throne, all of which, every detail is completely true. In fact, there is one scene with King William, which several people have said to me, I suppose that's poetic license. Not only is it not poetic license, but 3/4 of what he says are quotations from himself. So it is a rather extraordinary story, and I think the Americans have a phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you strong. And I think that is the explanation of Victoria. She should have had her self-worth flattened out of her. But for some reason, there was something in her that wouldn't allow that to happen, which I find very inspiring. She was an absolute example of hereditary selection putting the right peg in the right hole. She understood the job. I mean, she had a bumpy ride, but she got the job, and she did it fantastically well. And I think partly because of what she had to deal with as a girl. Anyway, you're now about to see that. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to a couple of questions at the end. Please think of some, or I stand here in a hideously embarrassing silence.